Hey yo, my name is Ashrawi. That's me on the left there. And on the right is Bun B of the legendary hip-hop duo UGK. I'm actually one of Bun B's Trill Gladiators. No, really, I promise. Bun and I have a very, very unique friendship.
Bun, can you do like a welcome to All-Star Weekend real quick? Thank you, brother.
Do a what?
But at the end of the day, he's always looked out for me. His group, UGK, is one of the pioneers of Southern music, but their influence has circled the globe. It doesn't take much digging to see how wide-reaching UGK's impact has been. Bun B and Pimp C got their start in Port Arthur, Texas, but a lot has changed in Port Arthur. Their old high school, Jefferson High, has since been consolidated into Memorial High School. The famous UGK mural was torn down. Here's where it used to be. And even 7th Street and Texas Avenue, the original Short Texas, was renamed. Despite all these changes to their hometown, the UGK legacy lives on outside of Texas and across the globe. So I set out to show just how deep UGK's impact has hit. But I was 2 years old when UGK's first album came out. So I enlisted Matt Sonzala and a few familiar UGK fans to help me tell the story. This is the All-Star Tribute to UGK.
Matt is the person who has been the biggest pusher for hip-hop expansion at South by Southwest. Not just in the music portion, but in interactive and film as well.
UGK, Trill Gladiators, it's your man, Mr. Incredible, Nick Cannon. Yo, what up, this Macklemore? Shout out to my dude, Bun B.
Pimp C, may he rest in beats, and the legendary UGK's, Underground Kings.
J. Cole, Cold World, UGK for life. Rest in peace. Pimp C, I'm talking about a murder.
Yo, peace, world, it's the Love King, Raheem DeVaughn, Bun B, Pimp C, UGK for life.
Statik Selektah show off. Steven Jackson, Stack 5, keep it trill. What about the Texas stand up?
I'm Malcolm McCormick.
What's happening? It's your boy Big K.R.I.T, third co-representative. The legends in my eyes, man. Shout out to UGK.
TV, Dilated people represent.
This is Skateboard. Just paying my respects to the, the incredible, unconquerable UGK. Bun B, my respect, and Pimp C, rest in peace, man.
This is Sway representing the world famous Wake Up Show. A special shout out to UGK. Bun B's my brother. Rest in peace to Pimp C. And whenever you talk about who's the best group hip hop has ever had, you better incorporate UGK into your conversation.
And we're still on the grind, yeah.
You are now rocking with the best. This is Just Blaze.
Yo, this Spiller, Jet Life.
Yo, what's poppin'? It's Kendrick Lamar.
All-Star Tribute.
All-Star Tribute.
All-Star Tribute.
To UGK.
To UGK.
UGK. Salute.
Yo, what up? It's Eric, a.k.a. Trill Smith, a.k.a. Fresh Prince of the Texas State Fair. Yo, what up? It's Jeff, a.k.a. Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Happiness, a.k.a. Trill of Rights. And this is the All-Star Tribute to UGK.
Time I heard UGK was definitely the song Tell Me Something Good. Like at that point in time, I had never seen a local song go as big as that in my life. Like when we had 1590 Raps, we had Magic 102. Man, when that song hit the radio, it was crazy. Like I'm talking about, I got sick of that song. Like I got tired. That was one of those songs that was on the radio so much you got tired of it. And
the first UGK song that I heard may have been Tell Me Something Good, and I was in my older cousin's Mustang. That was like my cool older cousin, so he gave me the music for me to bring back to my house. So I was listening to it at the crib. So he let me hold it. The next day I really got all the way in.
First song I remember sticking out, High Life. I mean, just being young, and I remember I hung around my partner Big Son a lot of cats from my block, and High Life was a record that was always on repeat. And it was just this one part. It's most preachers is false prophets, fucking hoes and getting paid. And I was like, yo, you know what I'm saying? I was like, man, I feel like that, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, like you put your trust in people, sometimes people lead you astray. And you know, just somebody that saw it from that perspective. I mean, it's just talking about your surroundings, being able to bring, something that people see every day and kind of walk past and not really pay attention to it, to be able to bring it to life on record. Normally you only have 3 minutes and 20 seconds of a song, you know what I'm saying? But for a song to be so powerful, so visual, you know what I'm saying? There's people sleeping on them corners that you pee on, you know what I'm saying? Like, that shit make you take a different look at your surroundings, like, man, damn, that's real, you know what I'm saying? And then being from the South and having some Southern cats rap about where I was from, rap about what I grew up looking at, it just was like, man, this is almost more than just rapping. You know what I'm saying? You can tell somebody was spilling their heart and their true feelings out on a record. And I aspire to do that every day in my career. And it don't matter if it's a record like I Got This or a record like The Vent. I'm trying to give my all on it, you know?
Well, we're longtime UGK fans.
It's probably since the beginning.
Yeah,
I feel like we've been there since the start.
So it's 2009.
2009. It was with the Yin Yang Twins,
which was great.
Such a good album.
It's all 5 of them. Right. It was UGK and the Twins.
Right.
There was a song called Pistol Grip Pump, which is from LA, which is by Volume 10. And Volume 10 is from like Heavyweight's crew, which was Freestyle Fellowship and a lot of the Good Life members. And the first time I heard it, I was in the office and they were trying to fit this pistol grip pump on my lap at all times. They were trying to literally cut it in and it wasn't working right. Like the beat was big. If you know the song, it's like a hit. So like they couldn't have the chorus be the weak link to the song, not scratching in right. So Volume 10 went in there and pistol grip pump on my lap at all times. Fools be jacking other fools, but they don't be jacking mine. And that became like a huge chorus, and a lot of people got into UGK by finding out that was from Pocket Full of Stones. So it's funny how hip hop all comes together sometimes. That was my first introduction to even knowing what a UGK was.
Pocket Full of Stones back in the day. That was probably the first thing that I heard from UGK, and yeah, been a fan of it ever since.
Was a song called Pocket Full of Stones. What soundtrack was that on? Menace? I think it was on the Menace Society soundtrack. And then I had the opportunity of meeting them brothers at the La Montrose Hotel, which was good and bad. The good was that I got to meet these dudes, and I was reciting their rhymes to them. We were all chilling in the van. The bad news was we were also listening to the radio at that time, and that was the day Tupac officially passed away.
I remember at first I didn't even know what they was talking about. I was so young. I was like, Pocket Full of Stones? He got rocks in his pocket? But as you listen to the words, and then obviously as I got a little older, I understood what was going on, and they was talking about that grind, that hustle. So from that point on, I was a fan of the Underground Kings in a major way, just because literally that's what they are.
I met Bun B, Pimp C, man, long time ago in Houston. I think it was the first time I met him. And coming from New York, when you go, different states, you keep your ear to the concrete, and you follow who you're supposed to follow. And coming to Houston, right away, you know what it is, man. It's Bun B and Pimp C town, man.
We're in Texas right now. There's a classic, legendary 3 letters that go in Texas. The first one's U. What's the second one? What's the third one? Make some noise for Bun B! First time I ever heard UGK, I think, was Menace to Society soundtrack. Pocket Full of Stones, classic. I was probably 11, 12 years old, and UGK and the Ghetto Boys were like pretty much the only Southern artists that were at that time being accepted, you know, in the Northeast where I grew up in the Boston area. It had like a boom bap sound, but it had a different kind of soul to it.
Pocket Full of Stones, I always knew the song. That's one. And you know, really it was a movie soundtrack that I had heard them on. They had a song with Keith Murray, and I think it was Don't Be a Menace.
My first encounter with UGK would be a phone call that I got on my cell phone one day from Pimp C. At the time, I didn't know it was Pimp C. And I pick up the phone, and he like, what's happening? And I was like, yo, who this? Yo, he's like, yo, this is Pimp C. Man, we just had a great conversation that day. He told me how Guess Who Loves You More, a record which they wound up sampling later on. You know, myself, I was on the record. We revamped it. Talib was on the record and whatnot. And he just told me how that song just like kept him and his lady together and they bond, you know, man, when he was away.
Like, there was no one, like, production-wise, Pimp C set it off for the South, like, hands down. The stuff he did with the live instrumentation, with just the way he produced records, man, like, he set it off for the South. Like, when he came out and was like, you know, we don't do hip-hop, we do country rap tunes, man, really, he was saying, this is me, this is my genre. You know? He created that shit, man, like, he really did.
And Pimp C brought a swagger to hip-hop that nobody had ever seen, man. He brought that street game, he brought that pimp game, he brought that flash.
From the rolling organ to the bluesy Stratocaster, you know what I'm saying? Being able to use the kind of, we talking about 808 kit, you know, snare drum, the kick, the hi-hat, but being able to sample some of the Isley Brother, you know, feeling records that he was sampling, being able to give it its own swing, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn, I just thought about a record, damn, Don Perignon is a poster bump, you know what I'm saying? It just be like that. So the swing of those beats, I guess when I create, I wanna make the song move. You know what I'm saying? It's just not 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. It's like it got a groove to it, it got a swing to it, and make it easier to rap and bring the record to life. And even from the singing aspect, it just give it a different kind of feel. And it's almost a churchy blues kind of feel. You know, and definitely a lot of Pimp C production, a lot of the ways they created records, UGK, and even from the cadences, even from just the overall feel, I definitely was inspired by that. You know, and to me, that's where Southern hip hop came from. That's Southern hip hop I grew up on, and so I'm paying homage and at the same time giving my own spin, my own twist to it.
The beats were wide open, and let the rapper be heard. That's my biggest thing. Is I'm really about, like, production. I don't want the beat to be battling the rapper. It's like the rapper's in there trying to fight the track. Like, nah, it's like this should just be a bass, like a sound bed for the rapper to shine, to be heard. And those tracks, everything, were wide open, and that's why we gravitate to the words so much. I think they were very well placed on top.
Yeah, I mean, Pimp C he just had that sound, but like to me, his flow was just so cold because he just said what he felt and found a swing to say it.
I mean, Pimp C's production changed rap because it was like taking the genre and bringing it to the players' ball and then giving it back to the people. You know what I mean? It had like you had to lean when you listened to it, man. Shout out to Pimp C, UGK for life, man.
Pimp C, not only was he a great lyricist or, you know, artist, he was also a great producer. And I mean, I can't necessarily put a timestamp on when his influence came into play in terms of just production overall, in terms of being influential to other producers, you know, outside of his home area. But I remember there definitely was a point where all of a sudden, a lot of people that worked from that region all of a sudden had records that sounded like those records. Speaking of his rhyme style, like, there was always something that was familiar to me about it, and I never could put my finger on what it was. It wasn't until we met and that came up, and he was like, oh yeah, no, I patterned my whole rhyme style after Run from Run DMC. And then I'm like, duh. Like, and then as soon as he said that, and I was starting going back and listening to all the records, I'm like, yeah, That's totally what it was. It's basically a southern version of Run, on those type of beats. And that's why, I think that's why I was able to gravitate towards it, or towards their sound, because Run DMC is one of my favorite groups. So there was always that familiarity there in the back of my head, and I could never really put my finger on what it was. Once he said that, I'm like, it clicked. And it was kind of like a genius thing where it was taking that old school Run cadence and flow, but applying it to that slower southern sound. It was genius.
I was living in Chicago for a few years right before Pimp got arrested. I had just moved back to Houston around the time when Pimp went to jail, and he went away for 4 years. And like, I've never saw like a movement like that. I mean, there's been like free, all kinds of people, movements, stuff, but for a rapper, for a musician like that, like Bun B held him down so hard. And like, it was around that time when it really started coming out that people would see, you know, the power. Like, people wanted to support Pimp by supporting Bun, and vice versa. You know, like Bun ended up on every song. Like when Pimp was away, Bun went out there, and I would say it was probably a mission of his, you know, to keep Pimp's name out there and keep that whole thing alive. He went on everybody's albums, and on every feature he did, practically, he yelled Free Pimp C. Bun B is just such a special dude in this game, man. Like, he's always reached out to help. Not only Pimp, the love he showed Pimp, what he done, you know, did when he was away. He's extended his hand to almost everyone in rap. So there's another level of where that respect comes from.
Who is Bun B? I don't know. When I hear about Bun B, it's stuff like
Bun B needs to return my money. Bun B needs to give me back my car, and Bun B needs to move out of my garage.
Yeah, Bun B is a legend.
Right, he's the guy who works at the grocery store.
Bun is the one who runs on the pool deck. And
what did Bun do to your pool?
Listen, just Bun isn't a good swimmer.
Like Bun B, he's a white rapper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
About 3-4 years ago, I had an idea for a song because there was a song called R.I.P. for President. I knew Bun wasn't working on his album. I just thought it'd be cool to do Bun B for President, since every nigga where I'm from, including me, has the utmost respect for Bun B. Everywhere you go in the South, everywhere you go in hip hop. So I thought Bun B for President would be a great idea. The sample was stupid, drums was perfect. And I wrote a verse that was pretty incredible. And the song concept was amazing. And I sent it to Bun B as a gift. And here you go, man. Please take this, use this. Bun B took it and didn't make his album. It's one of the greatest regrets of my life. He should have did something with that, man. Just go back and listen to that song, man. Bun B, why you do that to me, man? I still vote for you, man, for president, for real. Every nigga where I'm from already know that UGK.
Make some noise for my young homie representing the M.O.P.
Oh man, Bun's the guru. Bun's the guru of hip hop, man. I've been, if I had to say that I would like to really grow up in this game and be like somebody, it had to be like Bun B. To be able to go anywhere, to be able to communicate with every kind of artist, any kind of artist, and have a relationship where people sit down and listen. It's like that's a profound respect, you know what I'm saying? And you know, I had the opportunity to meet Bun 2 years ago, and even back then he was like, man, just keep doing what you're doing, keep your head up. And he understood what I went through as far as being Southern, being country, and wanting to prove myself so much. You know, and he's like, man, just make the kind of music that you want to make, and we riding with you. And hearing that from him, that spoke volumes.
But even more than the records, what you started to feel and hear was a solid mind of Bun B. You know, his statements in his interviews were really sharp. He was able to back up, and is able to back up what they were doing lyrically and musically with some concise words that kind of like went right to you. So, I mean, he's known for that today. But initially, when he was covered in interviews, it made somebody step back and say, whoa, this is a real cat here. And there's more to it than it goes way beyond the songs and the videos. And that's very important. You always need an elocutioner, and Bun B is actually one of the best in the game.
Look, man, I'm gonna be honest, man, on some real shit. Bun B, man, is one of the realest people. I'm not even talking about artists, just people in general. Back when I was an underground artist and aspiring artist, and I wanted to collaborate with him, man, he was down, man, and he was there. So, you know, I respect that, man, and like he ain't have to do that. And like as an artist, you know why another artist would do that. So, you know, it's on some real love shit, man. So, you know, I think shit like that is what keeps the South united, and that's what keeps that the whole Southern hospitality thing going. You know what I mean?
Bun B one of the most consistent rappers of all time, cause Bun B been rapping for about 70 years now, and it's never a bad verse.
Rap is so youth oriented, and there are very few people, very few OGs that get that respect and that love where the younger generations still want him on their records. He can still go do sellout shows, you know, all over the country. That's a testament to how great. I mean, it's to me, it's bigger than lyrics. It's what he represents. It's what that UGK legacy represents. He's kind of like one of the godfathers of Texas rap, and he is for a reason. You know what I mean? It's like I said, it's bigger than just his lyrics. It's what he represents. He's one of the first acts to put on for Texas on a national level, the other being the Ghetto Boys. It's, you know what I mean? It's like that right there cements his entire legacy.
Publicly, you know, endorsing what we do is big, because there was a time where I was watching him on TV, like, I'd love to meet this guy one day or something like that. So yeah, it's great when if it ever comes to fruition, or when it does come to fruition, to find out the person that you looked at and liked is actually as dope of a person as what they were portraying in their music. Because I've definitely ran into it the other way, where I was a fan and kind of reached out and got a kind of a weird vibe, and then from then on, you know, maybe still respected the music, but I'm definitely more of a people person, and if I can't vibe with you as a human, how am I going to enjoy music? So, yeah.
Hip-hop, I mean, his role in hip-hop is to always make these people remember that legacy, you know, that they started. You know, he has an important, like I said, not only in Texas, but, you know, just him being original, you know, and showing the youth, you know, that you can still, you know, do it your way and not follow what's going on the radio. You can always come from the underground, you know, and still have that success in that fan base. You know, these dudes been in the game over 20 years, you know what I'm saying? So for them to have that, come from that underground world and still have that connection with everybody from underground, mainstream, or whatever, you know, that right there is a legacy within itself, you know. So I hope Bun continue to do it, you know, and pass and give on the game, because just like me being a student, you know, listening and learning, there's another kid right behind me, you know, trying to hear me pass the game on that he gave to, you know, me and my generation.
Beating Bun B. I met Bun when I was, well, I think I was like 22 or something like that, in Austin. It was South by Southwest, and they just were really down to earth, really. And a lot of rappers I'd met before from America, they weren't as easy, approachable. He just seemed really cool. And we've just been cool ever since, man. If I'm in America, he's always the first to know.
One of the pioneers of this sound, a legend to this great state. Houston, make some noise for Bun B!
And Bun B is solidified as, you know, triple OG status. Just a great dude, man. I think that anybody that's ever met Bun, whether you're famous, whether you're not, Bun treats you like a person. He looks you in the eye. He has conversations. He asks you questions, and that's rare. You know, just as a human being, I think that's what shines the brightest. Outside of him being, you know, one of the dopest MCs to ever do it, man. In terms of, you know, he really has that pocket, that flow, that voice, that charisma, that presence on tracks, and you know, is a living legend. And I think that outside of just the music, what really has impressed me is him as a human being. you know, he's just got that heart. He's not afraid to be himself. And that's what I respect most about him.
So follow me and what you think of universe. Let's travel at magnificent speeds around the universe. What could you say as the earth gets further and further away? Planets are small, balls of clay. Australia to the Milky Way. Worlds out of sight. Falls the eyes to see not even a satellite.
Bun, you know, we came a long way knowing what it was to, you know, come out of Houston. He wanted to stay true to that sound. And then, you know, at the same time, he became more universal so that, you know, New York artists felt him, New York listeners felt him, California listeners felt him. So, you know what I mean? He understood, you know, what it took to, you know, become that universal artist, man. And, you know, the things that he did, you know, to get where he at, I respect too, man. You know what I mean? You know, his real life travel, the things that he did, you know, from, I think he was teaching and things of that nature, man. You know, when you put that in perspective, that shows what kind of person he is, and he's just a rapper. He's an intelligent cat, man. And I respect that.
Bun is a legend, man. You know, there's no doubt about it. He's one of the only people in the world that nobody got nothing bad to say about. He's just the coolest guy. He's everywhere. He's the flyest. He always got the fly clothes. You know what I'm saying? He got records from everybody from Termanology in the underground all the way up to Jay-Z and Drake. You know what I'm saying? To 50 Cent, to whoever, man. You know what I'm saying? He's Bun B. He's the fucking God. You know what I'm saying? That's my twin, you know? Shout out to the God right there. Salute. OG. Trill OG.
Where people thought a lot of Southern rappers didn't have the mechanical skills at that time to be considered some of the best or even one of the best. Bun B, you know, was one of those artists that helped prove that myth wrong. So UGK for life, man. UGK for life.
And Bun B is the face, and he is gonna always remain. He shows more love than any other artist we know. Like,
when he don't even have to.
He doesn't have to. And he doesn't do it for a show thing. He actually comes to you and recites your lyrics to let you know
he
that
knows,
he's listening.
He knows what it is.
He's listening.
He knows what it is. Like,
he's a Jedi.
Well, little known fact, Bun B was born in Minnesota.
Yeah, right. A lot of Trill things up north.
Right. Grew up with like Prince and Bob Dylan.
You've heard all of his work with Terry Lewis and Jimmy Jam. Big like Kevin Garnett, like original like T-Wolves guy.
Used to hang out with Kirby Puckett.
Minnesota and Bun B are just synonymous.
They were the underground kings, but they were the feature kings. There was a period of time before Big Pimpin came out, honestly, that like, man, every tape you bought, UGK, Pimp or Bun or both of them were on it. And it wasn't just like Texas stuff. I mean, when the Hot Boys were coming up, like UGK were mentors to them. And that's Lil Wayne, you know, that's BG, that's Juvenile, that's Turk. And then when Big Pimpin came out, you know, Jay-Z, on top of the world, one of the biggest artists, and being from New York, which was at that time, like New York, for the most part, ignored the South. You know, he broke down a lot of doors with that, but I always say, like, being on a song with Jay-Z did a lot for UGK, no doubt, for sure, that was huge, but people never talk about the fact that Jay-Z being on a song with UGK did some stuff for Jay-Z too, like in the South. Like, people in San Antonio weren't jamming Jay-Z. People on the south side of Houston really weren't jamming Jay-Z. They just weren't. There were some people who were, of course. There's hip-hop heads everywhere, but I'm talking about the people who were really jamming UGK. When they heard Big Pimpin', that probably helped turn a lot of people onto Jay-Z in different regions too.
Smoking, I blow it up. Keep that lean up in my club. All my guns got that wood. In my hood, we Hollywood. Everybody wanna ball. Holly proud at the mall. If we up, watch it fall. Sing. I can't go with y'all.
That was my first time, you know, as a kid, really connecting with UGK. I'm sure they have a hell of a bass, in Texas. But when that came out with Jay-Z, that's when it really made the connection in LA. Me being from California, and you know, me being a kid, that was me really, you know, being introduced. And that was one of my favorite verses, you know, on that record. So it always been in the back of my mind. Hell, it was always catchy, you know, to use it as a hook.
And then what I really appreciated about Jay is that him and Big would always bring in you know, they would always do collaborations with dudes like, you know, outside of their state. And we listened to a lot of New York rappers at the time and musicians. And so when Timbaland produced Big Pimpin', and I got to hear like Bun B and Pimp C over like, you know, some Virginia dudes like music and something that was a little bit more northernly influenced. It was cool to hear that as well.
Well, the record that they made with Jay-Z was known as the one that just actually galvanized the meaning of what they were all about. And actually made it, I don't want to say took it from the underground into mainstream, but I want to say it's a thing that actually, you know, just brought out their brilliance. And so that was the one that, okay, wow, okay. It made one notice it.
It was tight to see the mink. It was tight to see the mink in no shirt, like just kicking it out, like yeah, that's where it's at. You know, that's what homie would have did. So that was tight, you know. Yeah. It's good to see. But I always had already felt like they was at that level, you know what I'm saying? It was tight that for the acclaim that it was getting, but I already felt like they was playing on that level anyway. Some people may not have known about them until then. That's unfortunate for them, but I don't know how much. It wasn't like a break to me.
Yeah,
I like,
cause you
I was like, fuck it, they've been on TV and everything. Like when the regional television shows in New Orleans that used to show videos. I remember the record, the video for Having Things. Mm-hmm. They had the video for Having Things, and they used to come on all the time.
Pimp is the type of nigga, he gonna tell you straight up he don't like it. He don't like it, this is a problem, you gotta fix it. And that's just that simple.
I don't like
Jay-Z probably had asked him 4 or 5 times for that shit. So you
Bun be like, yo man, we gotta do this because, you know, the political and this. But I don't like it.
Nah.
They bridged that gap. Like when I seen them do the record with Jay-Z, I was like, wow, all right, they there now. You know what I'm talking about? They was always surfacing and shit, but it was like when they did the record with Jay-Z, it was like, all right, they coming out the water, and held their own too. So I was like, yo, this motherfucker's coming out the water, and it only made us step our game up too. Like fuck that, these underground kings, and we underground too.
Had so much hope, man. I'll never forget, like when the day it was, you know, Pimp C was found dead in the hotel room. It was one of my first days working for South by Southwest, like literally one of the first days of me being up here in Austin and working there. And I remember I just slammed my fist on my desk and freaked out. And this South by Southwest is a very quiet office. Everyone was just like, what? I just was like pacing back and forth, like, what the fuck? Pimp C is gone, no, and I'm texting Bun, like, is this true, is this true? And he texted me back, said, yeah, and I was like, that's still one of the lowest moments that I can remember. Like, as far, I mean, there's been other things, but when it comes to that, like, Pimp C passing at that point in time, when they were just so finally on the way up. This is almost 20 years of UGK, man, you know, like, years of them working hard, and they made money, they made some money, they made hits for the people. I was like, man, this is about to happen. And then it didn't happen.
You know, it was very unfortunate what happened to Pimp C. But it's also somebody could look at it like this woman was on TV saying that had terminal illness. Says, well, you got to treat life like there's no moments and no minutes wasted. So, in my recollection of Pimp C, he didn't have any waste of his life. It was nonstop, you know, dedicated to living. Because we're all terminal, as I say. You know, we ain't getting out of this thing alive. So live your life to the fullest. And I think in the story, and I'm judging as an outside looking in, judged by his music, is dude lived life to the fullest. And what better life than somebody who has a life singing songs that they believe?
Yeah, well, you know, at first, I didn't, you know, they didn't say what happened. So once they said that he passed, I thought it was some violence or something like that, you know what I'm saying, initially. And then at least to hear how it was, and I know nothing, you know, it wasn't no hating, no reason, you know, a person that made him not be here. I guess that, you know, that might have made it, you know, a little cooler to deal with.
I think it was scary because you look at people like they're immortal, like they're superheroes, and I remember it just scaring me and being like people that you look at as people that will be around forever will not be around forever, and it just kind of checks you on a whole bunch of things you're doing.
That was a tragedy, not only for Texas, but you know, for hip hop. Anybody that lose anybody in the hip hop culture, especially one that made the foundation for a certain sound, is always a dramatic loss. So, you know, rest in paradise, Pimp C for sure.
Being an artist, being in the rap game and shit, it always affects everybody. So I don't know where I was at. I just know when I got the news, man, I was just like fucked up, man. Because I know Bun B was fucked up, and now it's his man, that's his partner and shit. And trying to go on and shit, do shows without him and shit. You know, just like when our brother passed, ODB, it's like, you know, so we can relate, you know.
The way I found out Pimp C passed was actually kind of a crazy day in general. Long story short, I almost had a fire in my house. It must have been about 8, 9 in the morning. And my MacBook Pro was plugged in. Excuse me, my MacBook Pro was plugged in. And there was a point where they were manufacturing faulty adapters and some of them were fraying and catching fire. And it happened to mine while I was asleep. And I had a basket, a wicker basket that had a stack of newspapers in it, and it caught on fire. And I don't have the best sense of smell, but the fire had gotten so intense it woke me up. So I freaked out, woke up, I smelled something burning, find out what it is, put the fire out, and you know, got the fire extinguisher, put the fire out, then I just kind of sat down like, oh, great, crisis averted. And happened to turn on the radio and just heard the news. And it was definitely, definitely was heart-wrenching in the sense that this was a guy that I had been listening to and following since like, mid-high school. I met him about 6 months before he passed. I was in Houston for some reason, or in Texas for some reason, and he gave me his card, and it was super, like, the card just left an impression on me because he used to have these black metal, black and chrome business cards with the UGK logo and his name and his cell phone and his email and whatever. And the card was so dope, I actually had it like, it sat on my desk, like right next to my computer monitor. So I remember, and I had never gotten rid of it. And I remember like sitting there just, you know, listening to the radio, like kind of like, you know, kind of down about it. And then I look up and I see his card is still sitting right there. So it was just.
Since, you know, Pimp C died, you know, Bun B has carried on the name exponentially. Like, UGK is not dead, that's for sure. Like, it's UGK for life, for real. And that's just like, you know, I go off and talk to some of these guys now, like, you know, Action Bronson, Harry Fraud, dudes from New York who you would think might be like kind of real New York centric, and they talk about what an influence, you know, Pimp C's production was on them, what an influence UGK was on them as a whole. It's just like, man, to see how much that spread. And you've got Bun B, man, like, he's still here. Like, he is a powerful force to be reckoned with in this rap game. Like, hands down, a powerful force. This dude is the voice of the South, in my opinion. Like, we've got bigger artists, but I don't think we have greater artists.
They stayed true even when the world wasn't on it. You know, they stayed down to what they were doing. I think right there is something that we all can take out of, you know, as far as a piece in their story and their legacy in the book. For many moons to come, stay original, stay true to yourself. That's UGK, Bun B, Pimp C.
They are pioneers of a sound, of a Southern sound that's transcended, that's inspired all of the world really through hip hop music. They put Texas on, they put the South on. And, you know, as somebody that's from the Northwest, you know, there was a time period where, you know, it took a minute for Texas to actually pop off, and they were the people that made it pop off. So I understand what it's like to be, you know, repping your region before it's necessarily known as a region within hip-hop. And I think the UGK represents the South and represents hip-hop music beautifully.
Their legacy has always been representing that underground, man, because I'm going to stay representing that underground till I die too, man. So that's what they is, underground kings, and that's what they live by.
Swagger, you know what I mean? It'll never be another UGK, you know what I'm saying? Like, put them in the list of the best to ever do it as far as like out the South and making that trunk music, you know what I'm saying? That Southern music. When you think of the South, you know what I'm saying? When you think of soulful South gangster hip hop music, you know what I'm saying? Like, they the kings, man. You know what I mean?
I think once everybody realize, you know, where rappers stand and how, you know, rappers made their name in the game, coming from Houston and you know, putting that stamp on the game, I think people gonna respect them, you know, for you know, being big dogs in the game, for bringing you know, that mood that personifies hip hop, man. So I think their legacy is, you know, right at the top of the game, man. And we definitely need to understand rappers and artists like that, appreciate them and salute them. Like in New York, we respected Bum and Pimp, man, and you know, rest in peace to Pimp, man. But, you know, it's groups like that come, you know, bridge the gap, man, and bring hip hop together, man.
If you take what EPMD did and what Gangstar did and all the two-man duos of all hip-hop and you put it in Houston and added, you know, a whole different style to it, that's what UGK's legacy is going to be, because it's always going to be, you know, I just think legendary, man, that's it.
The legacy of UGK is Bun B still owes us money and a car
and a newspaper, evidently.
Yeah. He keeps editing our Wikipedia page to say mean things. Sort of messed up.
Real waste of time, Bun.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna change it back.
And the people, UGK is the soul of Southern hip hop. To me, you know, they came through the trenches, they came through the barbed wire fences, they busted through doors that was shut in their face, slammed in their face, and they helped put hip-hop in Houston and Texas. They were very instrumental, and even beyond Southern hip-hop, they were extremely instrumental in opening doors for Southern artists to take pride in being from the South and not being dependent on other places, whether it's the West Coast industry or the East Coast industry, and learn how to become autonomous and put their own music out and control their own destiny.
Yes, sir. When I say UG, you say K. UG, UG.
For me, it would be they bridge the gap between down south and up north, because at that point in time when they was hot and they was doing their thing and shit, I wasn't really too familiar with a lot of down south groups, with the exception of Ghetto Boys. As soon as I heard Bun's first line, I was like, these niggas is right here. When I first started back in 1989, the hip hop game, I mean, yo, if they ever do really start the Hip Hop Hall of Fame, they gotta be inducted. First time they get nominated.
The only thing I know is we bump their music in our hood, man. That's what it is. They stretch from down south all the way to Newark, New Jersey. And that's what counts. So big up to UGK, brother.
100 years from now, people are gonna look at UGK as one of the most innovative rap duos of all time. Not just 16 bars here, 16 bars here, like, these are genius compositions in music. And 100 years from now, people are gonna look back and study that shit, because it's not just some regular ass rap shit. Like, that's music to the T, and UGK, that shit is real. Like, when you talk to K.R.I.T, like, you know what I'm saying? So
man, the legacy of UGK, man, kings. Not only just underground kings, but kings, period. You know what I'm saying? Musically, I'm just the kind of music that I plan on putting my children on to. You know, you grow up to this, and then this. At some point, your parents may not have understood what you was going through when you was out in the streets, or when you was striving to rap or to do hip hop, or they might just not understand. Period. But I feel like this is the kind of music I could let my child hear and be like, if you gonna grow up and be in this game, man, listen to the pros and cons, because they didn't mind giving you the pros and the cons. A lot of people don't even realize Smoke was in jail when he was doing them interviews on the album. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was in jail, girl. Like, and so shit, man, I wanna give him the whole breakdown. And I think about listening to albums like that, listening to these people speak, because Bun not only can rap, but he can go out and talk to people. You know what I'm saying? He teach classes in colleges and shit. Like, man, like that's something to look up to.
UGK's legacy is gonna be both sides of the coin. That's one thing. You've got the ignorant party side, I guess some people see it that way, and then you've got the, let's say, the other side of the coin, where it shows you the consequences and just how doing wrong or whatever affects the soul and affects how you move and affects the people around you. That's what I've always got from that.
It's gonna live on forever. You know, that it's gonna resonate forever throughout the universe as long as the hip hop culture exists, which will be forever. And that's why I'm here, because of that shit. So, shouts out to UGK, man. Bun B, real shit.
You know, UGK is just like it's a pillar in the Hall of Fame of like hip hop. You know, I always tell Bun when I see him like how much like those guys are like the deities. Definitely of the South, but like they're just among like the forefathers of like just swagger, you know, and the real usage of the word, and not necessarily the popular one.
They'll look at it as a building block, because then you'll see how many, like the influence and how many things came from it. You know what I'm saying? You'll see like the inspiration that he gave different artists to do what they want to do, stand their ground, represent where they're from, not change their sounds, you know what I'm saying? And I know that's what I took from it. So you'll see how many other people will say that they got that from them, and then that'll put them like in the center of so many things in hip hop, so many branches. It's kind of like they would be damn near a trunk of the fucking tree. You know, 100 years and we'll look at it and we'll see it all, you know? They'll look cool in black and white.
The lasting legacy of UGK is going to depend on how you tell it. You need important people like y'all to be able to tell that story of these Hall of Fame Texas rhymers and to the rest of hip-hop by not being defined by the outside, but being defined by the standards of the region. I think that's very important. And also having, you know, such fine men like Bun B be able to continue to have a voice to tell the story, and you guys giving him the voice to be able to break it down, because music doesn't disappear. It don't dissipate. It's, you know, it's still in the air. And UGK's legacy is like for many years to come, because you got a good dude at the steering wheel of it.
I really just hope UGK will always be remembered as the pioneers that they were and are. Like, Southern rap wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for UGK, and that's for sure. And I pray that like people remember that. I mean, people tend to forget, especially in this internet age. A lot of this stuff goes by like that, you know, so flash in the pan and so fast. Like, I hope people really respect what UGK did for this music, and I think they will. I think that their legacy is going to live on forever, well beyond any of us. Like, when we go back, you know, when our grandchildren go back and look at the early days of rap, like, they can, you know, as it progresses through New York, the West Coast, this and that, when they get to the South, they can't miss the contribution of UGK. There's no way.
Shock.
It's your boy Fame. I represent the world famous M.O.P. Alright, motherfuckers. I got a little UGK story. Big shout out to Bun B. Rest in peace, Pimp C. First time I actually got in touch or was on first hand with UGK with that nigga Pimp C, you know what I mean? When we got on the elevator, I didn't know who he was. Shit, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know his face, you know what I mean? But I know his music and shit. And it was Murder Dog magazine that tied us together. And it was like, yo, we was the top 10 of the most slept on rappers, or the most underrated groups. I can't recall exactly what it was. But Pimp C got on an elevator with his bitch, pardon me, with his lady, or whoever she was, with all my niggas. You know what I mean? And he told me the story, yo, Murder Dog put us all together. He was in the top 10 with us, M.O.P to the death. That's what y'all are, right? He wasn't familiar with us either. But he knew we was M.O.P because that's how we was running out there. It was Miami for the Sauce Awards. You know what I mean? And I just remember this nigga because he got in a pretty ass Benz after we spoke, a pretty ass 500. And that was when them shit first out, you know what I mean? And he told us we was in the same top 10 of the most slept on underground rappers. You know what I mean? And he saluted me and I saluted him. And I met Bun B later on, you know what I mean? A big shout out to UGK because them niggas been doing it for years, like the M.O.P, like me and Bill been doing it for years. Him and Bun B been doing it for years. Then on top of that, them niggas is brothers, so that's some other shit, you know what I mean? So, salute to UGK, alright?
This is Matt Bonner of the San Antonio Spurs telling you to keep it Trill. I'm a huge fan of Bun B. I grew up in New Hampshire, which probably isn't the most Trill place on earth, but I grew up listening to Underground Kings and Bun B's solo stuff. Just a huge fan, and I go back to the UGK one day, huge fan, but really all his stuff. He's the ultimate, like, you know, coming into someone else's song and just killing the track as a guest verse and, you know, putting the original artist to shame. He's one of the all-time legends.
Now, we just want to shout out Bun B and shout out the memory of Pimp C. You guys have obviously meant a great deal to us. Certainly in our hip-hop sketch comedy career, there's no one who's had a bigger role than Bun, and we just appreciate you and salute you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we are draped up and dripped out,
So what does trill mean to you?
Well, you know when like a clarinet goes like that's like a trill.
Yeah. You know, that's why we appreciate what Bun, you know, really brings to the game. It's a lot of woodwinds, saxophones and clarinets, piccolos.
Sure.
Yeah. You know, high school band was all about trill.
What's trill mean to me? That's a good question. Just because, you know, people have taken the word trill and just made it mean everything today. It's crazy that it's really a pop culture phrase now. But I remember the first time I heard trill, I thought, you know, it was triple real right there from a triple OG. So that's how we rock with it. Keep it all the way trill.
This is Chuck D right here for one of the hip-hop gods groups of all time. That's right, Bun B. Pimp C, may he rest in beats, and the legendary UGKs, Underground Kings. Trill means to me, I always thought it meant the real. When cats were saying it's trill, I just said, oh, that's that Texas true, for real stuff. Port Arthur, I knew Janis Joplin came from there as well. So there's two artists that put Port Arthur on the map in my book. And that's like Janis Joplin and UGK came and said, boom, you know, with it. All the groundbreaking work that's gone into Texas and come out of Texas actually has made the world a better place for the music discovery aspect of it.
Trill means staying true to yourself and being able to make that cool. Standing behind what you say and believing in that. Jay-Z used a line from Bun way before people knew Bun said it, like, and it's, for me, it's like, all right, man, I want to be that kind of artist where I lay a foundation, a platform that people years down the road either sample from it, they learn from it, and it inspired them to make music as well. But that's what UGK did for me.
How you asked me about Bun carrying on, that's exactly it. Like how I tried to put, how many different adjectives I had to tell you, how many ways I feel like Bun is holding it down, all that shit, I could have just said that. If I would have just said, like, yo, Bun's keeping the trill, that would have summed it all up.
Trill to me is everything the opposite about what they do. When I say they, I'm talking about the other side of the tracks, man. The people that culture vultures and they come into hip hop and just fake the funk. Trill is like, that's what we do over here, you know what I mean? And I know Trill's a southern thing, but the same way in New York we keep it boom bap, we keep it, you know, real and all that. Down here it's Trill, and it's authentic, that's it.
I listen to music before games. I know every word to every song. They inspire me. I am UGK. I am Trill. My style Trill. I am a member of UGK. I just haven't been on none of their albums, but we're family, and UGK is everything to me.
Oh man, True. I think Trill.
True and real.
True
and ill. True, real, and ill.
True, real, and ill.
When I hear Trill, all I think is Bun B, to tell you the truth, man. I think of Bun B because he's kind of the person that really, for me, at least made it a household name, you know what I mean? So even just making up a word that major that everybody uses, you know, from the whole South all the way back up to the East, to the West, to overseas, that's kind of a crazy thing in itself, you know what I mean? So shout out to the God, man, the Trill OG.
Trill to me mean like, you know, Trill was swag before swag. It was like, you know, just cold as you can be, man. Because these words and these you know, phrases that we come up with start to personify the game for us. You know what I mean? When you talk about rap, it's these phrases that we make and these words that we make that you can say to people and they get, you know, the frame of mind that we in, or the mood that we in, or what we trying to convey to people.
Trill is being able to sit and talk with Bun in the Third Ward, you know, and still be myself, and then be able to sit down and talk with President Obama in the White House and still be myself.
Yeah, man, Bun and my brother were best friends. My brother passed when I was 16. He got killed in our hometown, me and Bun's hometown, Port Arthur, Texas. And as I was growing up, people knew I had a lot of talent. And Bun and Pimp C put our city on the map. So I looked up to him. Every time he seen me, he gave me great advice, and he raised me. Every time they was doing something, he kept me involved. So he like my uncle. I call him Uncle Bun. He's raised me my whole life. And I think since Pimp C's gone, I think it's left for me and him to keep this Trill movement, you know, but since we the only two guys that's original Trill, that's from Port Arthur, where the word comes from, you know, I think it's on our shoulders now to keep the word going, and we're going to do it for Pimp.